Hello everyone, ladies and gentlemen, dear community, a warm welcome to this new ultimate comparison test. In today's video, we're focusing on the two extremely powerful 54-60 volt battery chainsaws from DeWalt. On the right side, the DCM575, and on the left, its counterpart, the DCMCS575. We'll answer questions about the differences between these two powerful chainsaws, their advantages and disadvantages, and which device you should choose. So let's not waste any time. Let's start right after the intro. But if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel for free and activate the notification bell to never miss a video in the future. You can find the current prices in the video description below. Thank you very much for your support, and without further ado, let's get started after the intro. Which DeWalt chainsaw should I choose, DCM575 or DCMCS575, and what are the differences? That's exactly what we'll thoroughly explore in today's video. Before we begin, I should mention that I've already introduced and tested these two powerful devices separately. If you haven't watched the individual videos yet, be sure to check them out. I'll link them in the top right corner on the info card because today's video is exclusively about comparing these two devices. So far, so good, I would say. So let's start with the exterior, because in this regard, both devices are very similar. This means we have the typical DeWalt color scheme, yellow housing accented with black elements. Also, the construction, meaning both devices are very high quality, featuring an extremely robust plastic chassis, and there are no sharp plastic residues or the like. And overall, the gap dimensions are nice and consistent. The first significant difference, however, becomes apparent when we look at the size and weight of these two chainsaws. That's why, for a moment, both devices placed right next to each other, and as you can see, the biggest difference is not that significant, but it is noticeable nonetheless. The housing of the new DeWalt DCMCS575 is only about a centimeter wider and 2 to 3 centimeters longer than this device, so not a really big difference. A much more significant difference becomes apparent when we look at the two mounted guide bars. That means it says here 40 centimeters and here we have 50 centimeters. A significantly larger difference, however, becomes apparent when we look at the weight of these two chainsaws. Because it has to be said, both devices always require a large, it's also stated here, 54-60 volt flex volt battery, which is inherently quite heavy. This means both devices should definitely not be underestimated in terms of weight. The regular DCM has a gross weight, including the 6 ampere-hour battery, of around 5,650 grams, and the DCMCS weighs a proud 6,750 grams. We have a weight difference of about 1,000 grams. This means that when you lift both devices for comparison, you'll notice that this one is a bit heavier, but I have to say overall both are well balanced. For this reason, both devices feature the nice large round handle on the top. It's really generously sized, easy and secure to grip. In this device, it's rubberized at the two most important points, on the top and on the left. Here, it's purely plastic. On the back end of the chainsaw, however, you can find the main handle. In terms of its shape, it's completely the same, meaning both are very ergonomic, comfortable to grip, and fully rubberized for high slip resistance. Only on the new DCMCS, DeWalt has slightly adjusted the rubberization, but otherwise, both are practically identical. The control elements down here are also visible, one in black, the large trigger for activation, and above that, the release. These are located exclusively on the left side for both devices, and in terms of pressure point, they're also identical. Now, centrally positioned, we find the two beautiful large battery compartments. As mentioned, for operation, we need a 54-60 volt flex volt battery, meaning these chainsaws cannot be operated with the conventional XR batteries or the power stack. I would also recommend using the largest possible battery, that is 6 or 9 ampere hours, because that way the devices have a certain runtime. The only difference in this regard is that the battery compartment here on the DCM is slightly smaller. This means with the large 6 ampere-hour battery, the compartment is already well filled. Here at the back, there's a huge opening where the 9 ampere-hour battery can easily fit. Let's continue on the front. Here, both devices have the built-in chain brake in the form of this nice large black lever, which can easily be reached. The only difference I noticed here is that the chain brake on the DCM is a bit lighter, meaning I could move it with my little finger. On the other side, it's a bit stiffer. On the left side, we find, also in black, the respective cap for the chain oil tank. The difference is that with the DCM, we have a quick release mechanism, meaning you can reach down here and it opens right up. In my opinion, this could definitely be a bit smoother. With the one here at the back, we have a regular screw cap. In practice, I can't really derive any significant pros and cons. If I had to choose, I would go for this variant because the cap is simply a bit more user-friendly. Furthermore, on the front, there's milky plastic, so we can easily read the current level on both devices, and in terms of volume, we have 110 milliliters here and 115 milliliters here, completely sufficient for both devices. Also, on the other side of these two chainsaws, it gets interesting again because here's the respective tensioning mechanism. As you can see, both chainsaws use completely different mechanisms here. That means with the DCMCS, we have a typical tensioning mechanism using a small slotted screw and directly above the two hex screws to fix and hold the bar. Nothing special basically. With this device, the regular DCM on the other hand, we have a quick tensioning mechanism and the chain can also be tensioned and released by hand using another wheel. So definitely much faster than this variant, and of course I don't need any tools to change or tension the chain. Speaking of the chain, what do we have mounted on both devices? The biggest difference is, of course, the installed bar. The DCM575 has a 400mm long bar, and the DCMCS575 has a proud additional 10 centimeters. That means here we have a total of an incredible 500mm. Otherwise, the specifications are relatively identical. The CS model has a few more drive links. Otherwise, we have a drive link thickness of 1.3 millimeters, here 1.1 millimeters, and a pitch of 3/8 inch for both devices. Both devices are powered by a powerful brushless motor that sits here on the left side. I must say, with the new DCMCS575, the motor is slightly longer and larger in the top view, giving this chainsaw a bit more power at the back. More specifically, we have power ratings around 2200 watts for the DMC575, and for the rear one, the DCMCS, an incredible 3000 watts, comparable to about 4 horsepower. In practice, both chainsaws can definitely hold their own. In the practical test, I examined these two devices in conjunction with the large 6 ampere-hour flex-volt batteries, which I'd fully charged before the test on various materials. I started with relatively small tree trunks, that is 150 millimeters in diameter, which were absolutely no problem for these two devices. The same goes for 200 millimeters, and then the largest tree trunk in the test, 300 millimeters in diameter. I have to say that both devices were very, very efficient in cutting down this tree trunk. However, there was definitely a noticeable difference. Both devices performed roughly the same up to about 200 millimeters in diameter. It was only above this size that the power of the DCMCS became truly apparent. That means the large 300mm trunk posed no problem for this chainsaw. Here, the cut was very, very fast and efficient, with no significant loss of power or the like. Also, the claws at the front of the DCMCS, which the DCM does not have, were extremely noticeable. Finally, I conducted a stress test on squared timber with both chainsaws and checked the battery status. Lo and behold, after the test, the DCM575 still had 2 out of 3 bars, while the DCMCS only had 1 out of 3 bars remaining. By the way, if there's any interest, detailed comparison videos of these two devices in action, then check it out. I'll link the video up here on the top right on the info card. All in all, it can be said that these two chainsaws from DeWalt, the powerful 54 or 60 volt devices, have performed very, very well. Both devices have tons of power and can easily cut down very thick tree trunks of 300 millimeters. The only difference, the DCMCS is a bit more powerful than the DCM, and of course, due to the larger bar, it has a bit more capacity. So far, so good for this comparison video. Now, I'm curious, what do you think of these two chainsaws? Feel free to write your opinion down in the comments. I'm looking forward to your feedback. So that wraps up this video. If you enjoyed it, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to this channel for free and hit the bell icon to never miss a video in the future. You can find the current prices of these two devices in the video description below. Many thanks for your support, and with that, take care and see you next time. Until then, goodbye.